throughout the nation and around the globe. From his heart to yours, it's Dear James Live, bringing you intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions.
Hello, beautiful soul family, and welcome to Weekly Wisdom and Insights, your home for spiritually guided transformation and empowerment. I am your host, DearJames, and together with the unseen, Spirit, Source, and Symphony, we look at the current energies, the intuitive wisdom and insights, and we go as guided. And big energies, it's eclipse season, so let's just jump in right away with the actual energies that we are dealing with, these main themes. Let's look at the main themes. We have decay and remedy. It's about repairing what's spoiled. We are dealing with fate, destiny, and karma. We have on the wings of love, instantaneous rapture, and then of course the full moon that just occurred late last night if you're in the in the United States, and in the early morning hours of Europe and Asia and so forth. So it's the full moon partial lunar eclipse. And last but not least, never knew I could feel like this. So we have some big energies. Welcome Alicia, Sue, and Olivia. And don't forget, throughout the broadcast, we take your comments and questions live and incorporate them. So we have a lot going on, and it is about endings and beginnings, the eclipse, the full moon, fate, destiny, karma. So let's look at all of this. However, with this, from the unseen, the main theme for these energies is on the wings of love, instantaneous rapture. And the image of this beautiful, like, just lit up white and purples and blues, indigo, angel wings against the backdrop of the void, the purity of the void, from the nothingness, from the chaos where everything originates. And then, of course, this moon that's been partially eclipsed. And so, two things. On the Wings of Love is a song, as I go to this here, give me a moment. So it is from Jeffrey Osborne, and I'm just going to give you the chorus line. On the wings of love, up and above the clouds, the only way to fly is on the wings of love. It's about a higher octave. It's about a higher choice. It's the only way to fly is on the wings of love. On the wings of love, only the two of us. Soul source connection, you and source. Inside this uniting, only the two of us, together flying high up on the wings of love. And so again, just bringing up the image. This is the unseen. This is this is Spirit, Source, Symphony, God, Allah, Buddha, all that is, the Great Mother, the Holy Spirit. It's like this essence, these outstretched wings on the wings of love. And then they gave us, with that, the unseen gave us the instantaneous rapture. And this was quite powerful and a little bit shocking for me, but instantaneous. Done, occurring, or acting without any perceptible duration of time. Done without any delay being purposely introduced. Occurring or present at a particular instant. So, on the wings of love, eclipse season. Eclipse season eclipses things out of our lives and brings things into our lives. It is instantaneous endings and beginnings. It's things that happen instantaneously. And then rapture, an expression or manifestation of ecstasy or passion, a state or experience of being carried away by overwhelming emotion, a mystical experience in which the spirit is exalted to a knowledge of divine things. It's a great awakening. So again, eclipse, full moon, these endings and beginnings, fate, destiny, karma. And you're going to see why I keep repeating these words, because these are the energies that we are working with that are going to arc out. So this, a mystical experience in which the spirit is exalted to a knowledge of divine things. The final assumption of Christians into heaven during the end time, according to Christian theology. A feeling of intense pleasure or joy. And with the astrological influences, so let's just look at these really quickly. The theme for them is dramatic shifts, shake, rattle, and roll. So we may see in world events, seismic events, things shake, rattle, and roll, dramatic shifts in our lives, in the world stories and themes that are going on. All of these, because this is the power of this moment, of these energies. We had Mercury re-enter Virgo back on the 9th. Mercury exited its post-retrograde shadow on the 11th of September. Here on just yesterday, late last night, full moon, partial lunar eclipse, 26 degrees Pisces. And then upcoming on Sunday is the autumn equinox at 0 degrees Libra. So again, you see big changes. We're shifting. In the northern hemisphere, we're moving into fall. In the southern hemisphere, moving into spring. All coinciding within days of this partial full moon. And it's a supermoon lunar eclipse. So let's jump into, I'm going to do two things. We're going to work with, I'm going to just set the stage for a moment. We're going to work with moonomens. .com, and it's super full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Release illusions. Very important. Releasing illusions. And it's because the moon, the full moon, is conjunct Neptune. And Neptune represents highest ideals and dreams and so forth, but also illusions. So moon omens. We experience a super full moon and partial lunar eclipse at 25 degrees, 47 arc minutes of Pisces. Conjunct with Neptune, the modern ruler of the sign, an invitation to surrender to truth. Join the flow of life, release our attachment to illusions, and navigate endings and transitions with faith. So this isn't about seeing the world the way we want to see it, but it's about seeing the world not only as it is, but as it can be. So again, it's not about the past. It's about the truth of moving forward. Welcome, Deborah. And it goes on to say, Moon Omens goes on to say, the super full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces offers opportunities to let go of what no longer serves, make space for new beginnings, and realign with your true path. So where we've been off, where we've been, holding on, not releasing, not letting go, not purifying our vessels, our lives. By increasing pressure and discomfort, eclipses push us to grow faster than we normally would. Release something that no longer serves us, upgrade our lives, and embody a new level of awareness. When there's an eclipse, the sun and moon are conjunct near the nodes of fate. And so these points of destiny, karma, and fated changes, when the nodes are activated by eclipses, doors open and close in surprising ways. People get in and out of our lives instantaneously. What no longer aligns with our purpose may abruptly end, and new opportunities appear seemingly out of nowhere. So you can see that full moons on their own, heightened energies, heightened crazy. And then we're adding to this, it's a supermoon, so it's in the closest proximity to Earth. And then it's a partial lunar eclipse. All of this just magnifying. It's like a tripling down. Lunar eclipses are supercharged full moons that bring a powerful energy of release, cleansing, and completion. These are potent opportunities to close cycles, make radical changes in our lives, and release our attachment to something that holds us back or keeps us stagnant. So again, person, place, thing, idea, script, stories, identities, whatever it may be that's stagnant, that's old, that's holding us back or down, that's limiting us, will be eclipsed out. And so again, it's always best to flow with the unseen, with the universe. You don't need or want the cosmic 2x4 coming by and just, knocking you. While the moon is eclipsed, we may have trouble identifying clearly what we are truly feeling, what we need, and what is happening for us emotionally. Nevertheless, we have an opportunity to deepen our introspection and gain new insights into unresolved emotional issues. And the reason it may be a little bit hazy is because the moon is conjunct Neptune, illusions. Deborah is saying, oh my, shaking, rattling, and rolling over here. Yes. And Sue is saying, I have been with the help of loved ones, and I prefer the reality of who the man I love is as preferred to his illusion. Yes, we can fall into love with the illusion of something or the ideal of something as opposed to the reality of something, what's real. And this is all about truth, and you're going to see as Moon Omens continues here. Because this occurs, the eclipse and the full moon is in Pisces. Pisces, a mutable water sign. It teaches us to surrender, to let go of control, to trust the flow of life and become one with it. So as these things occur, these mega energies and things are eclipsed out of our lives or into our lives, new opportunities, endings and beginnings, go with the flow of life. Pisces is connected to truth with a capital T, to the true nature of reality and to what is meant to be, despite our desires, preferences, and resistance. When a lunar eclipse takes place in the last sign of the zodiac, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, the energy of completion and closure is exponentially magnified. Huge shifts are happening, and this event is asking us to surrender our attachment to outcomes, goals, and ambitions, and welcome instead what is true, what life has in store for us. So it's like that old saying, you know, life happens while you're planning. So we can be thinking that we're going along a certain direction, and then all of a sudden, supermoon, full moon, eclipse in Pisces, conjunct Neptune, all of these energies say, nope, you're going this way, not that way. Or it's, this is ending, so this begins. It will be, yes, and surrender is key. Olivia's saying surrender is key. Absolutely, because as we surrender, we're the most empowered. Why? Because we're in the flow with our soul source connection. We're in the flow with destiny, with fate, with karma. It is an opportunity to pay attention to how we navigate transitions and to how we feel when the time is ripe to close a chapter, and yet we have no clue about what's coming next. So there's an unknown, and there may be, you know, uncertainty because it's unknown what's coming next. But what's not uncertain is what we're being called to do. It's a knowing, it's a feeling. It's something that we know we're meant to release so that we're making space. This lunar eclipse in Pisces, conjunct with the North Node in Aries, invites us to release what prevents us from moving forward, to close cycles that keep us from growing, and leave the past behind. The arc of destiny moves forward. So it is about leaving the past behind. A prelude, we stand on the shoulders of giants, but we release the past. A prelude to the upcoming North Node ingress into Pisces. This event emphasizes the need to surrender to the flow, let go of security blankets, and allow endings to make space for new beginnings. So we have these beautiful, powerful energies. And why? Because we're bridging the gap. This is the first thing that the unseen gave us. And they said, bridging the gap, ... the gender gap. Equality matters. See, we're letting go of the past to receive the present future. We're letting go of Piscean patriarchal era to receive the Aquarian matriarchal era. Bridging the gap, the gender gap. Equality matters. And this is not just a reference to gender, meaning male, female, divine masculine, divine feminine. Bridging the gap, the gender gap, equality matters. This is about, imagine the symbol yin and yang, the half white, half black, the purity of each. Within each of us is that divine masculine and divine feminine, harmony, equanimity, balance. And so this, from the unseen, is speaking to the fact that there's been a gender gap within us. We've seen it, of course, in our history over the last 2,000 plus years, where literally the feminine, the divine feminine, has been oppressed, suppressed, controlled, dominated, all of these things. And they have, from the suffrage movement forward of early 1912 in Britain, you know, seeking their rights of equality, because equality matters. But this is also speaking to that equality within us, that we are not, whether you're, male, female, transgender, somewhere in the middle, the point is that we have been out of harmony, out of balance within ourselves. And so where do we need to, there need, KNEAD, like you would knead dough. It's like, where do we need to knead and massage and come into harmony and balance within ourselves, so that our divine masculine and our divine feminine are in equal measure? Because in that state, it's ease. It's not dis-ease, it's ease, it's harmony, it's equanimity, it's quality, equality. So we're bridging the gap. So now let's move on to, we're going to jump and we're going to split this up with the astrology, but we're going to move on to hexagram 18, decay, repairing what's spoiled. It's about remedy. And there's a beautiful quote from Marcel Proust. We have three, but the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. So as we journey onward and forward, this is about awakening. This is about seeing, having new eyes as we move forward. And it is our first quote, and it's such a beautiful image of these hot air balloons, multiple hot air balloons up in the sky over mountains, and it says, "One chisels away, the other inspires leaders." So again, in our individual personal lives and in leadership, positions of leadership and education and in inspiration, you could be the football coach or the librarian or the primary school teacher or the Sunday school teacher, whatever it may be in our individual lives. One chisels away, the other inspires leaders on the wings of love, this instantaneous rapture. And so when you think about how this plays out, the difference between someone who chisels away and then those who that are in our lives who inspire us, and then that hot air balloon image of being risen, of rising above, of doing something new and different. And it plays into the second thing from the unseen. Never knew I could feel like this. It's from Moulin Rouge, Come What May. And there's a point about the present future, what's to come, what's before us. Never knew I could feel like this. It's technicolor. It's new. It's unknown to us. And you'll see about this golden age here in a minute with fate and destiny and so forth. Because we've yet to experience it, air quotes, again. And so one chisels away, the other inspires leaders. And this is from Carrie Hone at cafeausoul.com. So we're hexagram 18. Work on what has spoiled. Afterwards, there is order. It's our second quote. Beautiful full moon image. Work on what has spoiled. Afterwards, there is order. So we are bridging the gap. We are working on what has spoiled so that after this, there is order. There's beauty. There's harmony and balance. There's grace, goodness. Routine can take on a life of its own, and over time, all things require renewal. You must work on what has been spoiled by decay to foster a rebirth. Bringing vitality to what is old and outworn, decay portrays how being placed in a yielding position to nourish others can sometimes turn the wind into the image of drifting. So where are we Where are we off course? Where are we drifting in our lives? Where are we being called to make a sudden and abrupt change, to move ourselves forward, to create new life? The Master said, "You are supple when alive and hard when dead." Even a business environment being comprised of individuals must be established on a foundation of individual growth to keep the enterprise alive. We speak about this a lot, that institutions, businesses, corporations, governments are all comprised of people. And so in these environments, they must be established on a foundation of individual growth. When every individual is thriving and feels the opportunity to excel, to move up, to have more, to experience more, be more, then there's a foundation, a solid foundation of opportunity and growth. The enterprise thrives because it's alive. It's not stagnant. It's not oppressed and suppressed. Observing what has led the situation to become hard and dead, prune away what has stymied forward progress. So it's like a garden. We've got to keep pruning to get to the gold of everything, to keep everything healthy and alive and progressing. Failing to recognize the necessary cycles of completion and renewal, a situation has been allowed to move steadily toward a state of stagnation. So this is where in the world events right now, there's part of the 8 billion souls that are recognizing the need to advance and move forward. And there's another that are caught in the illusion, in the stagnation, wanting to hold things, stymie growth, keep it, prevent it from happening. But each of us plays a role, so play your role to advance. However, it will not occur. We will not go backwards. Perhaps you have defined your worth by solving the problems of others, and those that follow look to you as a problem solver. You may have lost your vision of the larger picture by tending to its many parts. Regardless of the reason, the situation has lost its suppleness. So this is about ensuring that we are focused, and this may seem very selfish, self-centered, but it's not. The point is, in order to assist others, it's the airline, you're on an airplane, put on your oxygen mask first so as to help others. You can't help others if you pass out from lack of oxygen. So this is about recognizing, tend to your garden. Each of us collectively tend to our individual gardens. So that collectively, well, they're beautiful, they're being nourished, and they're all, and we've weeded out what doesn't serve, and we've tilled the soil, and everything is vibrant and alive and progressing. It is associated with autumn. So this decay, repair what's spoiled, it's autumn in the northern hemisphere, or days away from autumn. It is associated with autumn when the height of creation ends and begins anew. In the image of seeds falling to the ground, harvest the seeds of the future by removing the outer husk or protective covering of the past. Do not allow the fears, your life experiences, these are the husks of the past, or these protective coverings. Don't allow them to prevent you from ascending, transcending, evolving, moving forward. Create anew. Collect the seeds. Be respectful of your experiences, but allow them to refine you, not define you. To work on what has been spoiled, separate what is dead from what will bring new life. Powerful statement. In repairing what's spoiled, separate what is dead from what will bring new life. Crossing the great water to observe the situation with a fresh perspective. Success is assured through systematic renewal. It's systematic. The wheels are constantly turning and churning so that we create fresh life. Think of water. The movement of water is constantly being moved so that it doesn't become stagnant. When it becomes stagnant, what happens? Got an itchy nose there. What happens? You get icky stuff in the water. It becomes not pure. There is a need to overcome complacency so you can lift something to a higher and more functioning level. Stagnation only exists while you avoid the inevitable death of the old way. Stagnation only exists while you avoid the inevitable death of the old way. There's a whole new world before us, a whole new world of opportunity, of something we've never had before. Let us go be explorers. Let us be the fool in the tarot. And it's not to be a fool. The fool, it's the ingenue. It's the fool in the sense of the world is my oyster. It's an opportunity. Let us go seek that opportunity out. Let us go discover new experiences. Let us go discover new aspects and parts of ourselves, as opposed to being stagnant and set in our ways, because that is decay. To tap the future potential of something, you must come to terms with what must pass. So we must be willing to let go of the past, of what has been, of who we've already been. Person, place, thing, institution, whatever it may be. We namaste, we bow to the divine in you, we release it to receive what's new. That's so powerful and important. So we're going to jump back before we go to the SABIAN symbols because they are so powerful, but we're going to go to Astrology by Lauren. And I'm going to share my screen with you all. And a partial lunar eclipse on September 17th/18th. And this is a beautiful image by John Bauer of the FAITES, of the NORNS in Norse mythology. So, and I'm just having a second here. Here we go. So on September 17th or the 18th, depending on where you are in the world, the harvest moon, the full moon that is closest to the autumn equinox, is also a supermoon, as well as a partial lunar eclipse this year. At 25 degrees Pisces, the full moon eclipse falls on Tuesday, September 17th in, of course, the Eastern time frame, and 3:44 a.m. British time on the 18th. It is rare for an eclipse to occur when the moon is also perigee, or when it is closer to the Earth in its monthly orbit, giving this Pisces lunar eclipse a little bit of an extra edge. So because the moon is in one of its closest orbits to Earth, it's amplified, it's magnified. So I'm moving on up here. Eclipses always come in pairs. So the lunar eclipse on the 17th will then be followed by an annual solar eclipse on October 2nd. And so we enter eclipse season. And know that this is no ordinary full moon eclipse, for it is also a supermoon. Lunar eclipses can be incredibly illuminating. What is revealed within the eclipse period can change the paradigm and tip the scales in one direction or the other. Remember in a few shows back, tipping the scales of justice, ... forward. And here Astrology by Lauren is talking about how these eclipses can change the paradigm and tip the scales. They also serve as turning points, bringing us closure and the conclusion to events that had been simmering on the back burner of our lives. So again, where have we known change is needed and required, and yet we've yet to activate it or take it? And here it is. It's eclipse season. It's time. She goes on to say, and unlike an ordinary full moon, the ramifications and consequences of what is being revealed or brought to a head through the lunar eclipse can be felt for months and perhaps even years to come. Never are the sun, moon, and earth in such perfect alignment as they are during eclipse seasons, which allow the Norns, the fates of Norse mythos, to sit at the feet of Yggdrasil, the tree of life, in order to have the ability to weave their tapestries and move the pieces about on the playing board of life. There is a fluidity to these eclipses that can be felt, that can feel like a meeting with destiny. And there is nothing to be done at these times but to move through to the other side and accept the hand that has been given. Eclipses, it's like, in a sense, they're predestined. They speak to us about what is. They speak to us about truth. Not what we want it to be, but what our soul said it would be. Individually, collectively. And so this is bringing in the fates. So I just want to bring this in for a moment before we go back to Astrology with Lauren. The Norns, and this is by A. Sutherland at ancientpages.com. In Old Norse mythology, the Norns were, quote, shapers of destiny. These goddesses ruled the fates of people and determined individuals' destinies and lifespans. The Norns are the equivalent of the Greek MOIRAI, the fates, responsible for destiny and personification of a single, unavoidable fate. The Aesir gods had a wonderful life before these three mysterious female beings arrived. At first, they built Asgard, and then enjoyed springtime and peaceful days. When the Golden Age ended, the three Norns came from a location associated with the giants in Norse mythology. So what came before us? A golden age. What lies before us? A golden age. In between, what arrived? The fates. The Norns. Three principal and very powerful Norns, fates, lived in the mysterious well of Erd. Erd means fate, which had its location beneath one of the roots of the giant ash tree, the world tree, Yggdrasil, which formed a column linking the realms of the gods, humankind, the giants, and the dead. The names of these most powerful creatures in Norse mythology were Erd, which means what once was. This root was named Erd, while the others were named Verdandi, being, and Skuld, necessity. Verdandi means what is coming into being, and Skuld means what shall be. So we have what once was, what is coming into being, and what shall be. Erd was responsible for the past. She was considered benevolent and blessed people and identified with the arriving moon. Verdandi was responsible for the present and identified with the full lunar moon. Verdandi was also considered a benevolent goddess. Skuld, on the other hand, was responsible for the future. The youngest of the Norns was believed to be cruel and merciless. She decided the life expectancy of the born children and personified the dying moon. But there were also other Norns, benevolent, of divine lineage, who could influence lives positively and benevolently, and who had enough power to reverse a person's fortune or send nightmares. So destiny, fate, karma, all of these things are playing out with this Pisces full moon, supermoon, partial lunar eclipse, because Pisces, again, represents the end of the astrological year. Aries represents the beginning. So contained in the ending is the beginning, contained in the beginning is the end. You see how this is playing out. So we go back to Astrology by Lauren. Because there is added element, there is this added element of fate, or what others might refer to as the fruition of karma. Pardon me. This is so hard to read because the text is so small. Anyways, karma thrown into the equation, these periods can also be unpredictable. but also know that these eclipses are ultimately in service towards the evolutionary progress of humankind, as well as for each of us individually. So it's the micro and the macro. We're all in this together. And what we receive within the gates of these eclipse seasons is necessary in some way for our soul's journey. It's about moving us forward. It's about what your soul said it would do, what it came to do and experience. So it's not happening to us, it's happening for us, individually, collectively. The lunar eclipse this coming week is conjunct the north node of the moon, indicating that it is in service towards fulfilling our soul's growth and development. It is conjunct transcendent Neptune, sextile evolutionary Uranus, and sextile transformative Pluto, connecting us to the overall fate of the collective, as well as our own destiny. Because we're all threads, we're all strands, we're all a golden thread in the great tapestry. And so 8 billion souls individually comprise collectively the tapestry. And so through the gates of the lunar eclipse, in some way we are all being asked to transcend boundaries and move that much closer towards the recognition that we all are swimming, that we all are swimming in the great ocean of life together. And we are not alone. There are others here with us, leading us to fulfill that destiny that can be found within our own hearts and minds, within our own drop of that great ocean that we all share called life. So we have this beautiful opportunity for growth, for evolution, for transcendence, for moving beyond where we currently are. And I'm going to go to number 5 that the unseen gave us this week. And I just heard the phrase cosmic bang. And then I saw like the monkey with the gold cymbals banging the cymbals together. And so the Big Bang is the cosmic explosion that marked the beginning of the universe. Cosmic, relating to the universe or cosmos, especially as distinct from Earth. So then this was the funniest thing, because what I heard was cosmic bang and these cymbals being played, and the cymbals, the musical instrument, the cymbals, go back thousands. They're at this point 5,000 years old in their introduction, and it's number 5, 5,000 years. There's a fragrance called cosmic bang. And its descriptor is a complex fusion of mystery and equilibrium. And I thought that was so perfect, because this cosmic bang, this eclipse, this full moon, this moment in Pisces, this ending and beginning, a complex fusion, but a cosmic fusion, a complex fusion of mystery. What's before us, what lies before us, the unknown, what's to come, and equilibrium. Equilibrium, balance, harmony, yin-yang. And they call it an androgynous scent. Androgynous, yin-yang, where the masculine and the feminine are equally balanced. It's number 5. Here's this great change. So where we have been out of balance for 2,000 plus years, for millennia, because when we were in balance, it was eternal spring. It was the golden age. So we're this cosmic bang, these symbols, and the symbols would scare off enemies, but they would also announce things. They were a tone that brought about, that would repel and would celebrate and announce. And so this cosmic explosion, a complex fusion of mystery and equilibrium, this androgynous state of being, of yin-yang, of masculine-feminine in equal measure. Very powerful. Speaking of which, powerful. Let's go to our mantra. Our mantra is purple rain, purple rain. It's a beautiful image of iridescent purple, shimmering purple with all of these raindrops on it. And this purple rain, of course, comes from the musician Prince. It's one of his most famous songs, and it comes from the album Prince and the Revolution. Prince's definitive power ballad, Purple Rain, peaked at number 2 on the Hot 100 on November 17th, 1984. We began this weekly Wisdom and Insights journey on November 17th, 2021, the return of the divine feminine. This goes on to say it was the title track of the album and namesake of a film in which Prince plays, quote, the kid who has nostalgic yearning for a pure love. On the wings of love, instantaneous rapture. Pure love, a state of pure being. Prince explained that the concept of the song Purple Rain, quote, pertains to the end of the world and being with the one you love and letting your faith/God guide you through. Bandmate Lisa Coleman shared it means a new beginning. Purple, the sky at dawn, rain, the cleansing factor. So our mantra is purple rain, purple rain. It's to keep seeing the purity and the goodness in yourself. First and foremost, see it in yourself. Believe it. See it, find it, seek it, treasure it. And not, again, not from a place of hubris and entitlement and arrogance, from a place of humility and grace and empowerment. Because when you see your divinity, your purity, it magnifies, it amplifies, it's purple rain. It brings about this sense of cleansing, of purity, of equality, harmony, goodness, that lifts us all up on the wings of love. So with that in the show, in the SABIAN symbols 4, let me just bring up the astrological chart. This is, and I was going back and forth because the full moon chart, the full moon occurs 11 minutes before the partial lunar eclipse. And something important to point out in this astrological chart, this event chart for the full moon partial lunar eclipse. So this is the lunar eclipse chart. And there's only the ascendant and the lot of fortune. There's only about 3 or 4 things that change. All the planets stay in the exact same placement. But what's important, because we had this a few weeks ago in the show, was that kite element. Well, you'll see this kite now again. At the tip of the point, it's the full moon and Neptune at the tip. You go to the left, you see Uranus. You go to the right, you see Pluto. And if you come all the way down to the base of the kite, you see the sun. And so remember that this is going to trigger. Venus was at that point a few shows back. She was at the base of the kite. Now the sun is at that base. You see Mercury will be coming up again. So this kite effect is going to be playing out over between now and into 2025 and so forth. So this is the astrological chart. So let's move to what the SABIAN symbols, because they are so powerful. And our first one for the sun, a boy with a censer serves the priest near the altar. The keynote, the first stage of actual participation in the great ritual of planetary evolution. So we are literally playing our roles. We showed up for this moment of planetary evolution. Whether we think of the ancient mysteries or of a Catholic Mass or of some still more transcendent ceremony in which great beings charged with planetary responsibilities are involved, we are dealing with a type of archetypal activity. The ritual is archetypal in that it represents, in however small a field of activity, a portion of the evolving structure of the cosmos, as this structure is understood in its sacred sense. We're playing a sacred role. We've shown up. We are integral in Earth and the human experience and the cosmos, as above, so below. It's sacred. Every such activity is performed, quote, in the presence of God. And I don't know the exact verse, but there's a statement, a biblical verse somewhere where individuals at the second coming attempt to hide from God. It's impossible. You can't hide from the unseen. So this is literally, every such activity is performed in the presence of God, the unseen. Menial as it may be, it nevertheless acquires a sacred meaning. The individual at this stage and symbol is educated, meaning led out into the world of transcendent activity, the world of archetypal performance. We've said this before. Shirley MacLaine said, I came to realize if I've been here before and I'll be here again, she was speaking about reincarnation and so forth, what I do in this lifetime matters. Here, he must learn to serve, he and she must learn to serve humbly and with intense attention in what is yet beyond their spiritual understanding. They learn to perform every action super personally, meaning consciously. They learn to, quote, practice in the presence of God. So every decision, every act is in the presence of God, the unseen. Everything that's going on right now on the world stage is in the presence of God, the unseen. And what we're doing, what we choose in our individual lives, is sacred. It matters. It creates karma, fate, destiny. And so again, cosmic bang, a complex fusion of mystery and equilibrium, an androgynous scent. We're being screamed at by the unseen to be more, to be better than our animalistic nature allows, our ego mind personality allows. It takes great depth of character and patience and reason and intellect to not just react, but to discern and to be higher, raise ourselves higher. The moon. Watching the very thin crescent moon appearing at sunset, different people realize that the time has come to go ahead with their different projects. This is a very powerful symbol, SABIAN symbol, and these are by Dane Rudhyar and Astrological Mandala. The keynote, a keen appreciation of the value of individual responses to any challenge of life. And you'll see why this is so powerful. You can't make the timing of this is, you can't make it up. The rather obscure original notation for this zodiacal degree, a new moon that divides its influences, when translated into practical terms, refers to the fact that, confronted with the opportunity to expand their energy along new lines, modern individuals will react according to their own personal characters. So this is about differentiation and so forth. One basic cosmic spiritual impulse will lead these varied personalities to take equally varied steps. Now this, in essence, one size doesn't fit all. In any society that glorifies individualism, everyone should therefore accept this fact and not try to compel other individuals to conform to a single pattern of response. So this is again where we celebrate our differences, our unique identities and methodologies and so forth. We celebrate because in that we are then celebrating the multifaceted tapestry, the threads that create the tapestry. This symbol stresses the essential nature of the cyclic process of actualization of human potential. It means we're celebrating the actualization of human potential. We're lifting everyone up. We're saying, yes, seek out, show us what you're capable of. See what comes through you from the unseen. Meaning the emergence of the individual. This should lead, and here's the part you can't make up. This should lead to a realization of the fallacy of totalitarianism. There is a massive agenda, certainly very prominent and present in the United States at this moment, of totalitarianism. And this symbol, the moon reveals, it shines a light on what's hidden. This should lead to a realization of the fallacy of totalitarianism. At times, we can all act like despots, demanding that others react to any situation exactly as we do. When we want to oppress, when world leaders, people that are entrusted with our lives to lead, to govern, business, corporation, government, institution, whatever it may be, if they're acting like a despot, a totalitarian, it's a fallacy, it's an illusion, because what lifts people up? The celebration of each individual person's unique talents, abilities. And when you have leaders that harness that in the most pure, beautiful way, it speaks to greatness. You're not being diminished. You're not being told to be, a Stepford wife or human. You're being encouraged, empowered to demonstrate your strengths, to accept weaknesses, because weaknesses allow us to learn. They allow us to become more, to become greater. This symbol, Sabian symbol for the moon, for this full moon, partial lunar eclipse, this should lead to a realization of the fallacy of totalitarianism. The moon is conjunct Neptune. It's shedding the illusion that we must all be alike. We must all do things the same way. And if you don't do that, because a despot will say, if you don't do it that way, then I'm going to oppress, suppress, control you, demean you, diminish you. That is stagnation. That is stymied. That is going nowhere fast. And that is where we've been. It is not where we are going. Neptune, light breaking into many colors through a prism. And this Neptune, it speaks to differentiation. The beauty, welcome Genevieve, the beauty of our individual soul prism, light, energies, and to celebrate that, to lift one another up. And while doing so, again, do not forget to lift yourself up. It's not selfish, it's selfless. Just marry it with humility and grace and goodness and empowerment. And that will guard against any hubris. Uranus is part of the kite. And this degree has been playing out, and it's expect the unexpected. A woman, past her change of life, experiences a new love. Man's capacity to rise in consciousness and feelings above biological limitations. It means that there's life beyond where we've been, or what we tell ourselves our value is, or someone else tries to tell us what our value is. And the key word here is new beginnings. Ideally, the new beginning should imply a more mature response to the new possibility of experience, or the new possibility before us. So this is not about same old, same old. This is, we're going back to where we began, an octave higher, and we have a heightened sense of maturity to navigate our new beginning, individually, collectively. Pluto retrograde. a secret meeting of men responsible for executive decisions and world affairs. This is speaking about executive power. So those, again, who lead, those who, and remember, everyone, when you are in a position of leadership, business, corporation, institution, government, whatever it may be, you are in a place of service to others. It is not about you. It is about us. We, the people that comprise, make up that business, that government, that institution, that country, this world. And with executive power, with great power, comes great responsibility. And you have the ability, we all have the ability to be more, to be better. So don't play the long game, don't play the short game, don't play the cheap game. Because this moment, this kite moment, this eclipse moment, this transfer of power from the divine masculine Piscean to the divine feminine Aquarian demands great responsibility. Jupiter, a tumultuous labor demonstration. This is very interesting. And again, against the backdrop of what's occurring in the US, there's an election and so forth for anybody not paying attention. And this is, again, interesting because Jupiter, the great benefactor, a tumultuous labor demonstration, the revolutionary impact of mental concepts upon the collective emotions and desires of mankind, humankind. And what this symbol speaks to is this symbol sets the stage for a tumultuous process, which may lead to a new approach to the problems resulting from individualization. Because again, when it gets corrupted, decay, repairing what's spoiled, it's me, 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 me. It's not about us. It's not about we the people. It's all about me, 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 me. The repressed or oppressed instincts stage an emotional outburst, claiming their due. So this is about, so we could see where the unions, where people coming together, it's a tumultuous labor demonstration, workforce demonstration, to say it's time, it's our time to have, because equality matters in some way or shape, because none of these businesses, corporations, governments, they are only as healthy and productive as the people within them. They are comprised of people. Do right by the people, you flourish. Don't do right by the people, emotional outbursts. It's Jupiter. It's the great benefactor. It's within this eclipse chart. Mercury, how we think and talk. A fine lace handkerchief, an heirloom from valorous ancestors. The quintessence of deeds well done. And this speaks to root strength. And this scene of characterization began with the revelation in a portrait of salient features in a man's face. This is a previous symbol. It ends with symbols which bring out the ultimate validity of the many efforts of generations of humankind toward the building of a beautiful and significant culture. We've talked about this a lot. We stand on the shoulders of giants, on the shoulders of everyone who has come before us, for us to achieve this moment, this beautiful and significant culture where everyone is respected. It's a golden age of equanimity and equality and harmony and balance. The person of culture is, in the deepest and best sense of the term, the aristocrat. They are the flowering of a line of ancestors who have accepted responsibility for a group or community. We accept the responsibility, the sacrifice that everyone before has contributed and given. what we do with that, how we honor that, matters. Likewise, the true disciple is the blossom that crowns a long series of incarnations. So this is about what do we choose to do with this moment? Are we rising to the occasion? Are we answering the call? Are we leading the way forward, the charge? Are we honoring and respecting all who came before us, all who fought? My mother and I watched a movie called Suffrage a few weeks ago, covering the movement of women that began in 1912 in Britain. And it was eye-opening, to say the least, and horrific to watch, to see, to bear witness to what these women endured, went through, were subjected to, simply to gain the right to have their voice heard, to have a vote. And what was astonishing at the end of the movie, this began in 1912 in Britain, and at the end of the movie it rolls a list of countries and the year that women were afforded this right. The last country was Saudi Arabia in 2015, 103 years after the initial movement began. So when you recognize, it's for us to never forget who came before us. Master Jesus, 2,000 years plus years ago, leading the way with this message of love, of unity, of greatness and goodness, but with humility, with grace, with honor, with dignity, with kindness. His message wasn't about totalitarianism and being a despot and controlling. He said very clearly, go direct to the Father. Your soul source connection, go direct. Advance the day to the suffrage movement and the women fighting to have their voice heard, to be equal, bridging the gap, the gender gap. Equality matters. So there's powerful messages. There's so many Sabian symbols in this eclipse chart that speaks to Venus, a butterfly with a third wing on its left side, the ability to develop for inner strengthening new modes of response to basic life situations. And this speaks to an awakening of a life force within us that we have been unaware of. And that will activate us, lift us higher. It's Venus, it's representing the divine feminine. And they're talking about, on the wings of love, instantaneous rapture. Here we're talking about a third wing. Something within our DNA, something within us that has not yet been awakened, that becomes awakened. Olivia saying my grandmother was a suffragette. She was born in 1882. This is what we're talking about. We stand on the shoulders of giants, of everyone who came before us. I implore you, the unseen implores you, to not waste this moment. To recognize the sacrifice of everyone that came before us, so that as we move into the new, what lies before us, we recognize there's a golden age. We recognize there is a new way. And while that may be unknown to us, and we may have trepidation or uncertainty, fear, anxiety, okay. However, we stand at this point because of them. Without them, we would not be at this moment. And so at this moment, we have the choice and the opportunity to reach higher, to see what's on the other side of where we've been. That is the massive, big moment and message here. Number 3 from the unseen, because number 3, they said, as fate would have it. Period, exclamation point, have a nice day. It's like, as fate would have it. It's about the fates and the MOIRAI guiding us, directing us, you know, measuring and spooling the yarns and cutting and everything, because it's part of our fate, our destiny, our karma to move forward. And last but not least from the unseen, number 4, it's foundational. They said, important messages arrive. Open to the way, with 3 exclamation points. So important messages arrive. Be open to receive in our individual lives and in our, you know, macro lives, the whole of the whole. Be open to receive, because there are important messages arrive. They arrive. Open to the way. So be mindful when we're saying, if we're stuck, if we're stagnant, if we're stymied, if we're blocking ourselves, if we're telling ourselves it must happen this way, that's not open to the way. And the important messages that arrive, that come, it's like, you know, the commercial, like, smack, I could have had a V8. That's the energies. It's like, pay attention to the important messages that arrive in your individual lives and that arrive collectively on the world stage. Because it's number 4, it's foundational. It will play a role in how you move forward. It will play a role in what you release. It will play a role in having new eyes, to see things anew, to release the old, and to be, my nose keeps itching, must be the unseen. Because there is no greater moment. There is no greater opportunity. They said in a few shows back, it's now or never. So let it be now, in our individual lives and in our collective lives. Because you can see my smile from the inside out. Personally, I want to know, I want to see what's on the other side of where we've been. I want to know what's there. There is no point in holding on to what was. And there is no point in going back or trying to keep it. Because again, a stagnant pond is stagnant. It begins to smell. Mosquitoes come. Anybody that's been near stagnant water knows this analogy. Beautiful, free-flowing, moving waters, living waters, sustain life, bring about new life, carve new paths forward. That's where we are. That's where these eclipse energies are catapulting us. That's probably the better word. Catapulting us forward. So be gentle and be kind with yourselves. Be open to the way, because important messages are arriving. As fate would have it, there's a cosmic bang, the monkey and the symbols. On the wings of love, instantaneous rapture. Because at some point in time, there's going to be a moment where we say to ourselves, never knew I could feel like this. So until next week, I love you all. Be safe and celebrate yourselves. Do something wonderful and generous with and for yourselves. And by the way, I just want to end with this. I know we're running long and I apologize, but I just saw this post. And it was about, in a coffee shop, I believe in Europe, they started this movement where instead of being in the line at a fast food place or something and paying for the person behind you, it's very similar. But what they did was, they called them hanging coffees or hanging meals. And what it meant was a patron went into an establishment and bought whatever they wanted, but they bought, in addition to that, coffees, additional meals, additional pastries. And those receipts were put up on the wall so that those that might not be able to purchase the coffee or the meal or the pastry could walk in and with humility, ask, do you happen to have a hanging coffee? Do you happen to have a hanging meal? And what that post said to me, it highlighted the very best of us. It highlighted the ease by which any one person could afford another human being, another soul, grace, nourishment, hope, sustenance. It demonstrates the very best in us in terms of humanity. And that is the octave and the chord and the world I hope we all want to see and live in, as fate would have it. Until next week, be well, be safe. I love you all, and we'll see you then.
You've been listening to Dear James Live. Gain intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions, and so much more by tuning in next week and visiting DearJames.com.